Good evening and welcome to our first online conference officially for BUSTEC313, and we will be meeting weekly at 9 p.m. on Tuesday nights. This session will always be recorded and there will always be a theme. The theme of tonight is to be dynamic, and this theme will come into play as I talk about some of the topics for the evening, as well as I talk about some of our objectives. So let's talk about the word of the week. When we talk about dynamic, it can be both an adjective and a noun. And a dynamic it means constant change, activity, and progress. And in any class where we're talking about business presentations, the ability to have constant change and react to your customers and their needs or your audience is so important, and always demonstrating progress. You've all been present at presentations that have been a little less than dynamic and perhaps even boring. And so we want to make sure that we spend the next few weeks creating the skills and environment to create presentations that are really different, unique, and engaging. But the word of the week is dynamic. So when you use dynamic as a noun, it's a force that simulates change or progress within a system or a process. So think of your presentation as being dynamic in that not only are you presenting information, but you're hoping to create change. All right, BUSTEC313, probably one of my favorite classes to teach at AR, and several of you have been in several of my classes. And right now you should see Canvas on the screen in front of you. So within the Confer Zoom environment, we will be using this as the primary resource. However, we will be using CCC Confer. And for those of you who have had classes with me in the past, you know when we use CCC Confer, we have some more options available to us. And one of the options was thumbs up, thumbs down, I have a question. We don't have that with Confer Zoom. So if you'll use the chat area right now, and if one of you will just confirm with me exactly what screen you see right now. What screen do you see on your screen right now? Exactly, it's Canvas. Good job. So we're looking at Canvas, and tonight I'm going to walk you through Canvas and the activities as well as resources for the week. So if at any point in time what I'm saying does not match what I'm showing you, then please use the chat to communicate with me. I will always put a hyperlink here to the activities of the week. The activities of the week will be released on Tuesdays, and they will be due on midnight the next Monday. This way we have a good week to get things done, and I release things so you can look at them before we talk about them. However, it's probably best you not attempt to tackle them until we've talked about them. So let's go right to the modules. The view that I'm looking at right now is the student view. And I'm going to minimize my participants. I'm going to bring my chat up here because that's going to be really important for me to see. Hello, Esther. Good to have you in another class. Awesome. Okay, so here we go. So this week, the theme is Introduction to Business Presentations. And we have a weekly focus, and this weekly focus matches up with the syllabus as well as some of our objectives for the course. I just want to talk about what basic business communications and presentations involves in theory, and I also want to handle stage fright. I believe in talking about controlling that nervousness and relaxation techniques and visualization. It's really important to talk about that right up front. So as you look at these resources, there's going to be a keyword quiz. This keyword quiz is based upon tonight's presentation. And if you remember, there was a keyword that we started off the evening with. Can anyone in the chat type the keyword? Absolutely. The keyword for this week is dynamic. So if you can choose dynamic from the list of 4 other words, then you will get 25 points for this week. Some of you are probably already on to doing that now. Okay, And I love when you do that live, because that way, if there's any problem with the quiz, you can let me know now. All right. One of my objectives for this week is that you really understand the types of business presentations. So the University of Arkansas has a School of Business, which is a Sam L. Walton School of Business. For some of you, that name might sound familiar. Quite a businessman in his own right. Well, when we talk about the genres of business communications, we're talking about deliberative, ceremonial, also known as epidectic, iconic, persuasive, identification, solicitation, enrichment, administrative, advocacy, and introduction. This week, I want you to use this handout to learn a little bit more about each of the genres. Under each one of these genres, there's a definition as well as an example. So let's just talk about deliberative. Deliberative normally deals with the future and addresses matters of ethics or compliance. An example would be companies' transitions. We see that a lot now when it comes to mergers. Orientation training, shareholders meeting takeovers, conferences, marketing, mass media, as well as recruitment. Please review all of these types of business presentations this week, as periodically I'll be referring to the type of presentations, the objective of the presentation, as well as the modality. All of the handouts they give you here in PDF, and you're welcome to download them individually if you so choose. Now, just to make sure you've understood types of presentations, I've put a little quiz here. And this little quiz here is types of business presentations, and I want you to try to match the types of presentations with the actual definition. I've converted a lot of these options into Canvas from D2L. So if at any point in time there seems to be a little bugaboos, please let me know. But in this case here, you'll simply select the type and then choose what best describes the type of presentation. You can take this quiz as many times as you need in order to score 100%. Let's move on. I'm going to go back to my modules. Just so I can exit out. And let's go back to Effective Presentations by Duarte. This presentation I put up here for you, which is a presentation by Duarte. When you play this presentation, it will have sound. Please make sure your sound is turned up. Most importantly in this presentation are examples of graphics, animations, and uses of creative transitions. Look at the 5 different roles and make sure it makes sense to you, as well as when you look at the presentation, notice how the presentation was done. Note, all of that particular presentation was done using PowerPoint. The next resource for you this week is making your slideshows meaningful. This is a slideshow by Duarte. This particular one talks about the presentation of the 3-legged stool, visual design, breaks it down into how people listen, how you help people listen instead of reading your presentation. Now a heads up, this presentation is over 100 slides long, so take your time and you can view it as many times as need be. If you're hearing an echo, it simply means that you're using microphone or a sound system instead of a headset. So make sure you're using a headset instead of speakers, otherwise you will hear a sound system echo. Also, I'll make sure to put you on mute. The next resource for you is Getting Beyond PowerPoint. Many of you are very, very familiar with PowerPoint or Prezi or Google Slides, and those are definitely the most common. However, there are other resources available to you, and I want you to be aware of those. These are 13 presentation tools that could provide better presentations. Some of them, however, do come with a cost, so be aware. Picturific, Visme, Adobe Voice, Project, Google Slides, Prezi, Haiku Deck, Keynote, Powtoon, VideoScribe, SlideShare, Zentation, and AuthorStream. The next resource I have for you for this week is asking for your personal reflection. This is a website and a presentation which is a business model by Expert Business Presentations and Global Solutions. I would like for you to simply watch their presentation, and then you'll notice there's an activity after it. Let's take a look together. Here's the presentation that you'll watch on your own. Then there's a presentation impression discussion board. I'm going to go ahead, and I had locked that. I'm going to leave my student view so I can go into that module now and make sure it's unlocked for your impression. I'm going into the edit view and making sure I unlock it now. It'll be available until next week. You've just viewed the promotional video for a professional organization that creates original videos for business presentations. What were your first impressions based upon what you saw, heard, or felt? And respond to the following. What worked regarding the communication of the objective? What did not work or prevented the communication of the objective? What effects did you find effective? And finally, was there any part of the presentation that you found not effective? And if so, why? I'm going to update mine right now, and then it will be available for you for comment. In this particular activity, you only need to comment once. You do not need to comment or reply to your colleagues. Remember, everything needs to be posted by the deadline. Let's go next. The next activity that I have for you is a resource referred to as 40 Best PowerPoint Presentations That You Can't Miss. This is an article by Clemens Leapers. It was published in July of last year. I've placed his orientation and introduction here. However, you'll want to click on the link below to access the examples. When you get to the website, there's presentations, copywriting, sales marketing, entrepreneurship, pitch decks, and productivity. Take a look. Feel free to jump into any section you wish and take a look at some of what he considers the 40 best PowerPoint presentations. Make note of what you like and what you don't like. The next objective this week is to talk about stage fright. Stage fright is actually very scientific, and it's based upon a true fear. Whether you're online or in person, stage fright is often one of the most paralyzing effects of presenters. I've placed a couple of videos here for you to review. After reviewing the video, I've once again placed a discussion item. What happens to you when you get stage fright? Think of a time when you felt pressure to perform. It doesn't have to be when you're really actually on stage, just a time when you knew that others were watching you. Make a post below and tell us about the situation that caused the stage fright and how your body reacted. Since you can expect that you will react in a similar way with any speech, whether it's online or in person. Say at least one thing that you can do to overcome the symptom of stage fright. You can write your response or even do a video post, either way, but I have placed a rubric for you. To access the rubric, there's a little gearbox up at the top. Drop down the gearbox, go to Show Rubric, and take time to notice the submission, the background, the reaction, and the solution. There's points for each. Here are the ratings. Always go for the most points possible. Well written or audible and easy to watch. Clearly describes a situation in which they felt stage fright. The student clearly described how their body reacted. And finally, the student clearly and correctly suggested a solution for their stage fright. Always go for the max points. When I talk about stage fright as well, there is some information that I give you. So here's a little quiz. Once again, there's no time limit, and you can take this as many times as you need to. Finally, for this week, I want you to create your first presentation. Okay, so it's not a presentation, it's actually just an introductory slide, but I want you to be as creative as possible. Let's read the instructions. Congratulations! You're ready to create your first presentation in the form of an introductory slide. You're welcome to use the application of your choice. Tutorials have been provided for you in the resource area. Requirements. This assignment is limited to one slide. You must contain a personal headshot, must contain 3 to 6 introductory statements or narratives, including any or all the following. If I have placed an asterisk, it is required. Notice, asterisk, you have to have your name on the slide. Major or educational background. Now, notice, personal interest. You must include your personal interest. Current employment, optional. Long-term professional goal. Please include that on your slide. No matter what application you use, please save your slide as a PDF format. And remember, you're only limited by your creativity. The example I've given you here is simply much like on a corkboard with a little note introducing themselves and their 3 facts. But again, you use whatever you're most comfortable with. So let's talk about the resources for you this week. Every module will be self-contained with the theme of the week. This week is the Introduction to Business Presentations. All of the instructional items, slideshows, resources, and assignments are contained within this module. But there's always some additional resources that I've placed here for you. Let's make sure you feel comfortable with those now. Web resources. There's professional resources. Publicspeaking.org is a great website for those of you who would like to access information and resources on any topic regarding public speaking. The next option for you is Alley and Bacon. Hopefully this link will work. This is a great public speaking site. I was scared of that. So I'll be updating this one for you. Let's go to the next one. When it comes to personal and professional business communications, there are several professional organizations that are available for you. So let's go ahead and update my modules. And these 2 here I'm going to need to update so that you don't easily get confused. For right now, I'm going to not publish this one, and I'll republish these with the most current URLs. Now let's talk about tutorial resources. Without a doubt, the three most commonly used presentation pieces of software are PowerPoint, Prezi, and Google Slides. For you, I've placed links here to tutorials. The purpose of this class is to apply the skills, not to teach them. So in tutorial resources, I've placed PowerPoint 2016 resources, step-by-step tutorials from beginning to end. Prezi tutorials. For those of you who prefer to use Prezi as a presentation tool, it is online. There are some advantages and disadvantages. I do encourage you to use the free membership and not pay for it if not needed. Finally, Google Slides. Google Slides is a best kept secret. There's a lot you can do, as well as create presentations in PowerPoint and update them and upload them to Google Slides for sharing and editing purposes. When it comes to your group presentation, you will be using Google Slides because you'll have the availability for all of you to edit within a group setting. Okay, so let's go through your assignments for the week. I'm going to change my view one more time to student view. Within student view, it's easier to use the modules and follow the modules. In this weekly focus, please make sure you do the online keyword quiz. Remember, keyword for this week, dynamic. I have the types of business presentations followed by a quiz. Effective presentations by Duarte. Introduction to slide design and the 7 rules for creating effective slides. This presentation is on SlideShare and it's over 100 slides. Getting beyond PowerPoint with 13 other applications for you to consider. Expert presentations, an example of an online and posted YouTube presentation that I'm using to get your feedback on. That's your presentation expression. There's also 40 best PowerPoint presentations that you can't miss. Now remember, just because somebody else thought they were wonderful does not necessarily mean that you will feel the same. We're also talking about stage fright, understanding stage fright, talking a little bit about your stage fright in the form of a discussion, and taking a quiz. Finally, your presentation for the week is an introductory slide just about you. No matter what application you use, you'll save it in PDF so it's just picture perfect and upload it to this Dropbox. I've reviewed all the activities for this week. I'm going to now open it up to any comments or questions. I can view my participants as well as I can make sure to open up chat. You're welcome to unmute yourself, or you're welcome to go ahead and type your question in the comment area. Margaret has one for us now. Where do we upload or save our introduction slide to? Margaret, in the introduction slide area, this is where you will be submitting a file, which is an upload, much like the Dropbox in D2L. You need to hit the submit button up on top in order to submit your assignment. Then you simply choose the file and attach it, much like the Dropbox of the D2L old school system. Hopefully that helps, Margaret. Any other questions? Every night at the end of the presentation, it takes between 3 to 6 hours for me to fully develop and upload the presentation. So if there's no more questions at this time, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording so I can start the process, but I'll stay behind for any of you who have comments or questions. Have a great evening, a great week, and I'll see you back online next Tuesday night at 9 p.m.